Dann noch mehr oder? Ist gut. Alles klar, gut, dann lassen wir es so.
Sorry, Eva, wir dachten, wir machen kein Gender Gap mit Männlein, Weiblein.
Perhaps we can also shift a bit to the left so that
Because then all
Like school.
ja, noch ein bisschen nach hier.
So.
Ja, so that we.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wie sieht es mit dem Livestream aus?
Nice. Good.
Hello and warmly welcome again for the second day of the activation program, Assembling Grounds. Super that you are here early in the morning after the opening. I would like also to welcome our online guests who watch the panel via the live stream. If you have any questions, again, as yesterday, you're very welcome to post or comment in the YouTube chat. We don't really have a special topic for the panel. The idea was just to let the artists also speak about their work and tell stories about their experiences and how they engage with non-human agencies and with non-human actors. So we have today, now I would just like to present shortly the round. In the order of appearance, Abijit Patil, who will speak first. Then we have Ihls from the Biodesign Lab. We have Maksud Ali Mondal, and we have Eva-Maria Lopez here. I'm Daria Emilia, and I would be moderating a bit, but first of all, you are supposed to speak today. So the four artists explore new connections with the life forms that surround us, each through a very different approaches and through a very different lens. Their works engage with other beings and ecological systems in ways that are investigative, poetic, and often process-oriented. At the heart of their work is a dialogue with non-human entities and their modes of existence, serving as a starting point for artistic research, speculative narratives, and new forms of coexistence. So, Abijit, you are very welcome to start and to share your ideas, art, and everything.
Okay, thank you, Daria. Yeah, it's quite surreal to sit here because just 2 weeks ago I was like kind of negotiating with the extreme changes in the monsoon and the sowing cycle changing and like how to change what we sow in the farm and you know how we sort of tackle this like extreme weather shift, and suddenly I'm here in the gallery and like now kind of still somewhere there on the farm, but now I'll try to concise my work in this 10 minutes and try to give some idea of where I come from and what I do. We all have these really long presentations, but trying to as short as possible. I come from a farming community. For me, it's always the work has been more of a confrontation of where I am and like so initially a few years was mostly sort of running away from this because of the farming crisis. All my cousins, everyone around me just wanted to get away from, as away from possible from the farming activities, which we did, and it's a journey essentially to again confront these pasts and understand what these structures are. So it began with my photography also sort of kept on looking through the lens towards what structures made this entire situation where the farmer who actually is growing all the food is has no control over that resource. So obviously after industrialization, I grew up in a place where corn, sugarcane, monocultures had already taken over, and looking at what it did to the topography, what it did to the farms, what it did to the people and the cultures was something that I began with. Food always stayed at the center of this, like, you know, understanding like how essentially we are what we eat, and how it all comes back to, like, you know, somehow in my head it keeps coming back to agriculture somehow, because I keep thinking all these big problems that seem very complex from outside, somehow they all begin with this point of us stumbling upon agriculture and becoming a civilization, and roughly 10 to 12,000 years ago. And this model that we have uh, um, accepted of living has its roots in us, so our relationship with seeds. And that's when this whole engagement with seeds sort of took over. 9 years ago, from working as a photojournalist, I decided that enough of this discussion and I need to get into the farm and grow things. So I don't want it to be too formal, but I just want to go through some. Hello. 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 So these are some of the things that are growing on the farm. This is khamdi, a variety of rice, which again links to the community where I'm living. It links to the recipes, it links to the rituals, it links to the knowledge of how to grow it. It's far more resilient to the topography. Similarly with some of you might know natsni or ragi. It's finger millet. Again, it comes back to the whole conversation about the structure and how we right now are forced to sow things which actually don't work in the soil where we live. And something which works is just like uh, around, but it is sort of presented as if it's not the cash crop. Black rice, again, extremely nutritious. Chakao, which again you have to go and find the rice now. To find the source of the seed, like you have to really dig deeper, and finally I managed to get hands on it because of Srushti Dhyan, the local partner organization, and Sahyadri Sankalpa Society. So growing things became the politics of my body of work also. Like engaging with growing also becomes very important part of what I show here. I mean, I feel that connection for me is extremely important to root myself into the medium. Of course, I keep meeting people because of this journey, and the seed savers or the seed community around is sort of the pillar of whatever I'm doing right now. The Seed Stories project, which I will shortly show you about. So this is Balu Ghode, Mamta Tai. There's not enough time to talk about everything, but these are the kind of genome saviors of that topography, and they keep the seed alive. And my installation about life doesn't grow in banks, which is there in the exhibition, essentially focuses on this aspect, that we cannot sort of think that seeds are something that we will keep in a sanitized freezer and they will thrive. We need community, we need people for that to stay alive. Again, Mavanji Pawar has 3 seed patents on his name because, I mean, he's a farmer, but he's essentially, with the help of BIOF, this organization which we work with, the 3 native varieties that were lost are now on his name. So documenting these stories become a very political part of what I do. And then again, the other project, which is also part of the exhibition, brings together the wild seeds aspect of this whole conversation, how seeds become a medium of control, how seeds become a medium of power in this entire conversation, and how wild and cultivable is not actually separate, and they go hand in hand, and the loss of diversity in any of these affects us directly. This is the photo that is, I think you've seen it. This is Pooja, who is again the scientist who is working with the hornbills, and you will see the project. I won't dwell on the hornbill project because I think you can see it in the gallery. But this whole sort of engagement with seeds led to development of seed stories, which is like a project in collaboration with Goethe Pune. Marcus, Renu, Ketki, Pranav is here today. We all kind of work together to develop this, and yesterday the conversation was very interesting, how exhibition spaces can bring the politics inside the gallery of, and not just in the proposals. So we tried our best to see how that can work, and engaged in a way where seed savers collaborated with artists. There were 20 artists, there were 20 seed community members who sort of worked together to build narratives for diversity of seeds, for creating narratives of lost seeds, of the social cultural context, which can link them to the identity of the community, rather than just talking in research papers and saying, oh, nutrition, the environmental effects, because they sometimes, I think we need it to like, we need stories to make it more personal in this aspect. So I think pictures, I'll let the pictures explain, and kind of skip this part because my time is already over. But thank you so much.
So now I would like to hand over to Ihls from the Biodesign Lab. I also at the beginning I thought I would introduce all of you shortly, but I think your work speaks much way better for what you're doing than any introduction. So Julia, please, okay. Your stage is yours.
Thank you, Daria. Hello and welcome everybody. As Daria mentioned, I'm Julia Ihls. I'm the head of the Biodesign Lab here at the University of Arts and Design in Karlsruhe. So I will mention, here's this clicker, nice. Some work of the lab in general, and also hopefully can come to the part of the work that we're showing in the exhibition if the time allows. So I'm, if I would have to describe myself, I might be something like a material philosopher or network designer, so something in between, also bringing people together via the lab as a practice. So what is this lab, what I'm talking about? So we are here in this building, and next to the ZKM there is the University of Arts and Design, as most of you probably know, but so we share this building in the school, and it actually started with a place like that where visitors of the ZKM can walk by as an open laboratory, as you can see. So if designers or artists try to imagine a lab, this is what can come out. 3 open walls, complete social contamination, as I framed it. So the very opposite of a sterile environment where seeds in seed banks are cultivated maybe, but rather the opposite idea. It started actually with the Critical Zones exhibition, so in 2020, so this is like what it looked, or the BioLab presentation looked like now back in the day, so it's actually quite nice that now the loop is somehow closing again, that we are circulating back in the beginning or start again. What it is, this infrastructure, what I'm talking about, is an open lab for communication and exchange research, where we do research on active bio and organic matters and discourses. It's an interdisciplinary link also between school, young artistic and design practitioners and the public. And it's a bit like a hybrid between teaching, artistic research, curatorial platform. Right now we're here, so the lab changed a bit. It looks a bit more labmospherish, let's say. So if you pass by at the UFO, as it's called right now, the door is still quite welcome. You're always welcome and open, the door is open. And because the framework of the panel was, okay, how do you engage with more than human actors, or like how does this insert in your practice? Some questions that are always come up in this bio-design or bio-art practice is like, can we avoid thinking of life as simply another material or tool without extending it due respect? Can we unlearn our fear of aspects of biology, such as invisible microbes, and embrace design that utilizes them? And can designers learn to empathize with other forms of life and surrender a small amount of control and control of their work to them? So this is, for example, a piece that I did with my collective, the Surreal Lab, where we, for example, work with mycelium, like fungal fungal hyphae, let's say root networks, and where we try to sense the electrical signaling, and if I go back to make the signaling apparent in this radar charts, like where is the electric signal, like the information flow taking place in the different fungi types, how can we make that apparent, that also it's possible to be visible for the human perception. Three aspects that I would like to stress about if we talk about working with more than human agents or other than human life forms are living aesthetics. It's something that comes into play. Means like, okay, maybe we need to change our idea of what beauty or aesthetics are if we talk about also contamination or some growth that was maybe not expected in a form of art or design. So that's like a shift of the aesthetics. It's about mutualistic care, I guess, also something that will come, we'll speak in all of our talks, I guess, like this interdependent caring practice with the more than humans and habitabilities. How can we create also life forms and habitats that are not only suit the human, let's say, scale, but maybe also the smaller and the bigger. It's also a framework by Elvin Karana, if you're interested and want to have a look in that. That's also some works that have been done in the biolab. It was from a pre-diploma project of a student. We have some honeycomb lamps where the bees created the shape actually of the lamp. So the question also, okay, who's the designer? Do we co-design? Are the bees then somehow exploited actually, or can we make that in a mutualistic way? All these questions are coming into place. If you talk about scales, I think that's also just important to mention. I think it's a lot about shifting scales when we're talking about emerging concepts of bioart and design. So we have a shifting scale in the case of the body, like we're not only talking human scale, but maybe also universal ecological scale, microbial scale. Talk about the shift of aesthetics that I mentioned, shifting scale of time. So we have not only our lifespan, microbe times and deep times, and shifting scale of operations. So we need to reconsider also, of course, our way, how we engage and how we do our practice. I go a bit more quickly over that. The Living Library is now a project that is still running here in the lab. It's a circular material library where we focus on different materials here around in the local Karlsruhe region. So a very, let's say, locally situated practice that we're doing here. And we're in this project operates after 3 maxims, so to say, or like a little manifesto. First, everything must become compost. So means we also have a worm composter there in the space where the worms are also then decomposing the materials that are dealt with. Second, everything must be sourced locally, especially in the focus of 50-kilometer radius, which is kind of challenging, I have to say. If you want to host the website in the 50-kilometer radius, the font is from a 50-kilometer radius that we see here. The materials are sourced there and all those stakeholders, so that's can be also challenging. So we see here the radius, what we try to do, some research about all the different kind of practices, wood from the wood industry in the Black Forest, or the old wool craftsmanship in the area, and every material then gets another layer in this maps that you see here. Last one, rather maybe more general rule, everything must be harmless to the environment, or rather in the sense of, say, sustainable. So this whole project, again, it still is also from a foundation of innovation and teaching. So it's like differentiated as an analog archive where the old biolab was situated. Now we have this open gallery where you can explore different materials. Also, if you're in the ZKM or passing by, worm composter as mentioned, and also there, as I said, a digital archive, a hybrid where all this knowledges, the maps, the information of the gatherings, also in the engagement with the materials are, let's say, archived. Also the knowledge to say how to engage with the worm composter and how can you make your own worm composter, and so on and so on. Maybe here just interesting to see here we also tried again to think about, okay, can also digital information be erased version history wise and so on, how can we make these processes visible. There's also some, let's say, education program around it. I just go over it a bit more quickly because I think we don't have that much time. But also here we went out in the field with workshops with local experts. Here was about composting as a practice in the very beginning, because we thought it would be just quite reasonable to start with the compost if everything in the end must become compost again. Some workshops also here in the school. This one was on food waste and also on the public talks. We tried to also to contextualize the different materials in a bit of a bigger narrative, or here with mycelium, as we had here with the workshop. As I mentioned, those maps are formed, and we try to create an archive out of these practices or with these engagements in the material. In the end, there will be an open access publication. We're just now trying to start with that process, so stay tuned. Hopefully release next March. And yes, so maybe just to conclude now about the question of afterlife, because that's something that we're dealing with here in the installation that we have here also in the Fellow Travelers exhibition. The question of, okay, what happens actually to an archive when its archivists are no longer there? And what happens to accumulated knowledge, materials and infrastructures when a temporary project concludes? And can ideas, concepts and data decay or even compose just like bio-based materials? So that's a bit like, okay, I think it's now not working because there were videos behind, but what you see also in the exhibition is a bit like a speculative idea, okay, because in the digital realm normally there are no decomposition practices happening. If the storage space is full, normally you just pay more storage in the cloud and the problem is solved again. So a bit like the idea, okay, what can we do or think about as a decomposing strategy also in the digital realm, bit rotting or also blurring glitches, all these kind of things. So that's what you see in the exhibition. I think I also exceeded a bit my time. Sorry, Daria. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Euler. It's a completely different world. I'm really flashed by this kind of seed politics and then diving into sustainable material practices. Then we will hand over to Maksud. I don't know, Maksud, would you like to change with me, perhaps the place, so that you're closer? No? Okay, then I would, yeah?
Yeah, anything is fine.
Okay, then let's.
Thank you.
You can also move a bit.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
No problem.
Sorry.
Sorry, it's my bad.
It's fine.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Everyone, I mean you, me, and all the microorganisms living around us, within us. And why it is important to say this, that we are not only people sitting here at the moment. We are not only the humans sitting here. There are a lot of other form of living things within and around. And why I'm starting with this, because it's crucial that we are talking about coexistence, and we are talking about a lot of other organisms and why it is important to us. And also when I start talking about them in my work, and this is the first encounter that it's important to talk about first that we carry with a lot of, it is not an individual entity that we are. It is about multiplicity. And this is the first conversation that I start with my work, that when you enter, you carry with this identity that we are multiple. And I would like to read a small paragraph from a publication called Those Who Lived, Who Were Forced to Live, and Who Are in Between, which is recently published and were part of this project. We were born in the darkness, moisty, smelly in a slimy liquid, without name, gender, religion, color, or identity. With the state of transforming, mutating, and growing with a million of other life forms. So also, when I speak about my practice, it is about coexistence, and coexistence is not about only theory. It is, of course, there are like many, many theories about it, but how do you practice? So this is the question that I arise myself, where when we talk about organism, when we talk about this multiplicity, about symbiotic relationship, how it is, and what will be my position in that way? Is it only lies in the conversation and that's it, or it is something that we can live together? We can make a relationship, we can make better understanding with living with them. So this is something that like my whole practice is about. And yeah, I can move to my practice a little bit with a few slides. Yeah, this is a work that I did called synthesized forest, and it is a photographic process that I adopted, which is called anthotype, and it's an early 20th century photographic process that being abandoned because of this tendency that in the photograph, making a photography, this fading is not allowed, or this is how it's became neglected, this photographic process, that it changes. This anthotype is basically a plant pigment, and that's create the photography in this, with the touch of light. And I adopted that process and painted the whole space with this chlorophyll. And this chlorophyll found from the local plants, which is identified as not valuable, and how we define them that these are not valuable. And this is also very much like human-centric, that how we define them and identify them as valuable or not. So I collected those plants to extract the chlorophyll and painted the whole space to create an atmosphere. So when viewers enter to this space, and it changes, it reacts to light. So it's atmospheric and transient in that way. And in the left image that you see, it's a raw chlorophyll. I kept them in a tray, and it's transformed and mutate a lot of organism that is in the air. So it's react to this chlorophyll and changes over the time. And I placed a microscopic lens to see the detail in the right side, that you see how so the forms keep transforming every time. And in the left side, the image also depicts raw chlorophyll, which have a relationship with human blood. It's clot. It's clot in different way. So the way the blood clots is each chlorophyll have a different clotting system. So you can see in detail how this chlorophyll is transforming. And in the right side, there are several chlorophyll. You can experience how they are reacting in different, in light, UV light. It changes. So some of them changing completely transparent, and some of them turning their color into different color. And this was the book that also published. And this is the book. The book itself light sensitive. So whenever you read the poems, the book, you open to the light, it changes. So yeah, it's called Fading Poems and the Light. Yeah. And this is another work. This is called You Are What You Eat. And we know that when we are talking about these microbes, and these microbes are reason for many things, that how we are talking about. It changes our behavior. It changes our the way we speak, because it changes, it reacts to the nervous system. So, excuse me, I need some water. Thank you, Daria. And particularly this work inspired from a book by Anna Singh called Mushroom at the End of the World. And there is a line that one mushroom appeared from the blasted landscape called Matsutake, which is basically fed by radiation. And we know that there are several examples right now also that we found plastics in Amazon forest. And we think this is the possibility that we are ruining the world and there are something that basically recovering the earth. And how crucial to think about this, that we are thinking only about us, that we are even finding the possibility of ruin, that we have done something, and then thinking that microbes are recovering this. Of course, it is a possibility that the plastics are eaten by bacteria. There are like many other forms. This is a possibility that they are cleaning. But the reason that we are throwing these things, is it a way of engaging to the earth? How we are perceiving? What happened to the body of the organism when they are consuming, they are growing with the toxicity? And when we know that these microbes can change our behavior, change our relationship, how we are talking, how we are perceiving things. So this is something, then I did this project in Indian Museum. It was also part of Critical Zone. And there are like 3 boxes with specific design. Why it is specific design? Because it is not, it's vitrine, but have certain gaps so that it can react to the air. In like the museum also have this idea of purity because of this conservation. And you know that, or we all of us know that the museum even not is clean, or any institution is not clean the way we think, the way we create a relationship with the cleanliness. It is not clean at all. So how we are in time? Okay. So this is something that I was connecting with the museum itself, that microbes are appearing and consuming this artwork. And this is the plan that I was drawing with this idea that how I can, so there are like the image from the blasted image is mushroom cloud. And then I also like find some examples from the surrounding, that in the left side, that image basically depicting mushroom growing from the burnt space. And then another one from a burnt forest. In the right side, that one really tiny palm tree flowering. And I was really shocked seeing this plant growing in the burnt forest. That one, so this is how organisms basically forcing themselves to survive. And we are thinking of this possibility, that how we see the organism adapting to the new climate. So this is what happened in time. It's growing a lot of organism inside. So it changes over the time because of there are a lot of, so the 3 sculpture that you saw, one made out of sugar. So basically ants and fly can come and consume the structure. And there are other organisms like mycelium, spores germinating, mushroom appearing. There are a lot of bacteria. And this is another project called Fungal Garden. It's inspired from underground termite colony, where they grow food for themselves. And I was connecting with the agriculture, how we are producing food for ourselves. And I created a maze-like structure in the garden, and where you can enter, but from outside it looks like this. It's like a greenhouse. So suddenly we think a greenhouse, there must be something greenery, some plants. But when you see a rotting thing, the microbes are growing there. It's a contamination zone, that there are like diverse organisms growing there. So immediately our reactions changes. How? Because we know that again, like there are a million things around and happening. And these are the incidents that happening, and I captured them through the microscope, that spores, mushrooms that are germinating. And there was a conversation. It was initiated with a mushroom soup. And then the discourse is about that how mushrooms are producing in the lab. It comes from the laboratory, that how mushrooms that we are eating from the supermarket and everything. And when you are entering to the fungal garden that I made, and you are inhaling a lot of spores from there, and you are consuming the mushroom soup, which is from the lab, and who are not allowed to the idea of contamination. So what happened when we are entering with these two phenomena? One is the mushroom soup, and you are entering to the fungal garden and inhaling a lot of spores. So what happened to the body when it's making more diverse? And what kind of conversation that we can talk about? So there are like several conversations about how the diversity is important, how the monoculture is taking all over, how this one species, one separating languages, separating culture is creating the global problem right now. So this is about the whole work. And I read a poem called Chotrak, which is basically fungus. And fungus is talking and questioning about this relationship that we have in the modern society. And yeah, this is a small introduction of my work. Thank you.
Thank you, Maksud, for this interesting insights. And I'm pleased now to pass over to Eva-Maria Lopez. And it's kind of nice that we started with plant politics, seed politics, and we are again looping back to this topic.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. And yeah, I'm a visual artist, but I do a lot of artistic research because I studied agriculture before I studied art. And so my work is a lot about the connection between humans and nature and how humans are treating nature. And my artistic journey started in France with the theme of the French Revolution, which is more known about human rights. But it also was very important about nature because it changed the calendar. And to honor nature, they built up hills outside and also inside of churches. And I was very intrigued by that. And I wanted to do a reenactment. So I looked for churches in Paris or in Strasbourg. And I was wondering where in the Anthropocene we still have a connection to soil. So the only way you see in a city soil is during construction work. So I made pictures of the construction sites and made a double exposure with the church. And because the series is called Temple of Reason, so I created new Temple of Reasons. And the churches are getting more natural, so it's like here with a forest behind. And the French Revolution was very strict about nature. For example, they had a law that if you're cutting down a tree, you had to replant a tree. And this was 1793, and it was, a good law, so I could continue. And to get an idea what the perspective on nature was during that time, this is a landscape garden of Versailles from Louis XIV, and it's very clear defined where things can grow and not grow. It's a demonstration of power, about nature, about people. And the biography of André Lenotre, the French landscape designer, inspired me to think about how we are treating in the Anthropocene the nature. And I developed this artwork. I Never Promised You a Green Garden. You may know the book, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. So if you have a look at it, looks very nice and naive, doesn't it? So, but the mandala is done out of logos of companies producing glyphosate, the herbicide. And here you have 4 of the main players, BAFs, which is German Bayer. It was already into pesticides before they bought Monsanto. And then Syngenta is now ChemChina, and the fifth player is an Australian company. And these are the original slogan. BAFS is the most honest one, but growth for better world. So I was questioning myself, what kind of better world they want to have, and if it's the same better world I would like to have. And they're using this kind of symbols for the greenwashing. And the logos are called also brands. So I did a branding. I was invited by the city of Karlsruhe. I did a branding with the logos to put it on the back or on the origin. Oh, it's 11 meters. And working on this theme, I discovered that a lot of so-called weeds are getting resistant against herbicides. So in the cereal fields, you see poppies blooming. And I was wondering if it's an organic wheat field, and then I figured out, no, it was treated by herbicides. And meanwhile, the herbs are resisting, and I wanted to have the perspective of the plants, so for that reason the series is called We Resist, not They Resist. And in Germany there are around 30 different varieties of wheat, which are so-called wheat, monster weeds or super weeds, and United States is 130 already, and it's a big issue for the agriculture industry. So I did the photos, I grabbed the, for example, the poppy on the wheat field, and then I put it in front of white paper, and the shade is also, because, I mean, there are herbicide-resistant weeds, but there are also medical plants or cultural loaded plants. And then there's always a list when they become resistant or multi-resistant. And then I designed a garden out of this kind of herbicide-resistant plants. And this is done with the logo of Bayer and Monsanto. And over here is this cornflower and some other so-called weeds. So I tried to do with my work using plants as a medium. And so it's outside, it's more touchable, it's more, yeah. You have to question, is it a garden or is it an artwork? Some people question. And then people remember better or getting more in touch. Because I was growing up in a farm, and so I'm always wondering why people are so disconnected, not connected with nature. And this is one of my main questions in artwork, and yeah. That's the work I did in Tunisia. I was commissioned to do a recreation of a Roman garden. And it was very interesting for me to do the research, what the Romans planned, what we would plant today in the gardens, and that the kind of garden style still has an influence in our garden. So I grabbed wild flowers and put it in. And it's also to visualize, that it's not stone. It could be livable, even if it's 2,000 years ago. And there's also visualization of the garden and the mosaics which have been there to give the people a view how it could be. That's an artwork about gold, about mining. I'm very into mining because it destroys so much about nature. And I was invited by the city Pforzheim, which is called a gold city because it does a lot of gold jewelry. And so I made a square out of gold foil, 21 meter 21, because if you would have a cube of all the mined gold, it would be this size as a cube. And it's not very much. It's like, and talking about gold and plants, so karat comes from a plant. It was a measurement was by a seed, because the seeds are more or less always the same. And karat comes from an Arabic word, so yeah. And I also do research about phytomining, which is plants which are kind of absorbing gold or other minerals, and that's, yeah, so it's a kind of ongoing project about mining and gold. Yeah. that's a typical European or German project about gardens, which are not gardens anymore. How green is your gray, or how gray is your green? Because it's a kind of fashion to have this kind of pebble gardens. And so I did a visualization and lenticular print, so you have both image normally in one photography, to show how it could be. Because yeah, it's called Forest Street, ironically. So yeah, to imagine what could be there. And I mean, it's a big impact to the climate change. And I cannot understand how people are treating the little piece of earth they have and doing pebble stones on it. So here. And you can choose what you prefer to live in. An installation I did also here in Karlsruhe is a paper tree. Curious about our paper consumption, because Germany is one of the biggest paper consumption countries in the world. For example, Germany has the same amount of paper consumption like India. And even with recycling, it's not getting better. So I developed an app where you can have an amount of trees in the marketplace in Karlsruhe. It's still working. And it's 12 trees which would reach for 60 people in a year for good paper. And people are not aware about the paper consumption because we are not cutting down the trees here. We're cutting down in the rainforest. We're cutting down in Siberia or in Portugal. And so we don't see the impact. And then I wanted to show on the array around, okay, the place could look like that if you would care more about paper. Because we are living on the coast or on the land, like in the colonization times, still exploiting. Yeah, it would be nice if the kid would walk in the trees. Here. That's in Paris. Oh, yeah. This I skip. So that's a project which is belonging also to my project here, Phyto Travelers. And it's about plants which came by boats, by ballast. And I picked it up in Oslo Fjord and made cyanotypes of it. That's also, I've skipped this. And now coming to Phyto Travelers. It's during COVID I started to make scans of plants. I called it Dark Spring, and then I went into the neophyte. So I doing scans, as you can see here, the invitation card of the Phyto Traveler exhibition, because it's a different image from me. I think they're more alive, like if you do regular photography, because it's more mysterious in a way, so it's more vivid. And here is a combination with a map from Columbus, who brought the first plants to Europe. And here you can see the neophyte installation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentations. I would like to open the round for Q&A. If there are any questions from the public, you are very welcome to ask. Yeah.
I have immediately a question to Eva-Maria for this question about the gardening and the German garden, and it's terrible. I mean, the argument is always the caretaking and the care, right? And I have two questions actually. One is about your artworks and who takes care of them when you're sort of finished with the garden and you've planted the garden, and how. I mean, I know the criticism, but how would you counter argue to the gardens that you're proposing for the Germans in terms of their argument of saying, well, we have to take care of them, so it's easier if we don't?
In case of the pepper gardens, they're only in the beginning less time to care, and afterwards it's the same amount than if you would have a regular garden. And the most people have in the backyard a good garden, and in the front yard, so it's more about the moralic, of the view of having everything has to be clean. That's this German attitude, to have it. And nature has to be, like in the Bauer garden too. Yeah. And about the artwork, I mean, then I leave it, so some other things are growing, and I kind of abandoning it back to nature.
also in Tunis?
No, in Tunisia that's well kept and it's a touristic attraction now.
Thank you.
It's Abijit. I'm extremely curious because we were talking also generally, casually, but like now you articulated, and I'm curious because you said, if I'm right, like growing is also your politics and also your practice anyway. Growing food, growing grains and stuff. And then as you started like that, like you were there concerned about growing a few days back, like because of the weather and all this, and suddenly in a completely different environment. The terrain is different. Means if you climb the stairs here and you walk on the foot, is there too different. But that job you do, like your practice is basically there is a certain kind of physicality, and it's the question of growing and then taking care and then consuming, harvesting and consuming. There is a certain sense of a kind of cycle. So I'm curious because now you extended as an artist and showing it here. So how do you really kind of see this, your practice, the original practice of growing, transiting to a completely different terrain? It's not growing here. It's not always tangible. It's more representative or it's more interpretive. So I don't know, like if you thought about it.
Yeah, I keep thinking about it a lot actually. It's been always something on my mind because my practice has always been in these two worlds because how my upbringing was, and I keep looking at mycelium in a way, or a position of a mycelium where it feels that it's not disconnected with this world. Actually, it is the collapse or the crisis that we see around with the industrialization of farming has extreme connections with what's happening here, honestly, and you can feel it because like in the work of this farmers of the forest, there is this mining image, and we were discussing, I think, about how whatever we build here actually comes from that world. So for me, in fact, I have this opportunity to sort of come and be in this world as well, and kind of in my own capabilities make this announcement that this all is happening because we are sort of like going deeper with the mines where I come from. So it is something that does connect in that way, but it is something I also feel comfortable with because thinking that I will choose one of these worlds feels very untrue in any of these situations for me. If I am completely engaging with the farming, it feels as if I am also living in a utopia of that everything will be fine and I'll just be on my farm and like grow all the natives, and the world will figure out its own politics. But I think I need to wear that politics even in the spaces which probably are not so comfortable for me, or like usually. Yeah, if that is any close to the answer.
Any more questions? Okay, then I think what you said at the end, it's really shows also this multiplicity of different worlds and also multiplicity of knowledges, or like what we know about also the world. And I would like just to close the panel also with some thoughts from the book that I was very much inspired for the exhibition and also for the panels by Bano Subramaniam, by the Indian botanist, her book Botany of Empire, and there she speaks also very much about purity, about this wish of modernity to categorize things, to develop these dualisms. And one of the chapters from her books, and I like also these neologisms in the book, is called categorical imperative. So I think we have to follow this very much in our lives to connect also things, to be impure and to let things develop and grow without our control.
I'm also just a small thing, like I'm glad because I felt so many different points came in everyone else's conversation, so it's good. And how Eva brought the point of like something that I would have addressed. Being here also means like the conversation about Monsanto and Bayer and like, you know, I have to think about it as if like these journeys of coming here are also to engage with that politics and have that conversation where you know where the things are, and not just in my own small bubble.
Okay, thank you. Then we will have now a little journey to undertake to the museum space where Malika das Sota would perform again with Alponas, with these beautiful drawings on the floor. So this will go for around 30 minutes. We can go all together to the museum space, and afterwards we will continue with the second panel at 12:30. Here again.
বাদশাভোগ গন্ধেশ্বরী জিরা শাড়ি ধান, কালো জিরা কামিনী ভোগ বলবো শত নাম। ঘাস কানি লীলাবতী মরিচ মুকুল, রানী কাজল গোবিন্দ ভোগ গন্ধে ব্যাকুল। রাধুনী পাগল আছে আছে ঠাঁসখানি, রাধুনী পাগল আছে আছে দাঁতখানি। খরিশা ভোগ নাগরা কত নামে চিনি, খরিশা ভোগ নাগরা কত নামে চিনি। কোন ধানে চিড়ে হয় কোন ধানে খই, কোন ধানে মুড়ি হয় জানাবো গো সই। অগ্নিমান আজির মান চন্দ্রকান্তা কায়া, অগ্নিবান আজির মান চন্দ্রকান্তা কায়া। আশ্বিন ঝাড়িয়া ধান মুগিমান সারা, আশ্বিন ঝাড়িয়া ধান মুগিমান সারা। আরও আছে মাঝি শাল রঘু শাল নাটা, সেই ধানে চিড়ে করো পিষিয়া পাটা। সেই ধানে চিড়ে করো পিষিয়া পাটা। কনক চূড়ের ধান সাথে শিখির খোয়া, তোমার করুণা মাগো হাতে গড়ি মোয়া। তোমার করুণা মাগো হাতে গড়ি মোয়া। লখাই পালই আছে আছে হাঁস ঘুজি, কাঁসাই বিন্নি আছে কোন ধানে পুঁজি, কাঁসাই বিন্নি আছে কোন ধানে পুঁজি। লক্ষ্মী কাজল ধানে ফোটে সাদা খই, খই ফোটে আরো ধানে জানাই গোসই। অক্ষয় রানী ধান কালো নুনিয়া, অক্ষয় রানী ধান কালো নুনিয়া। বলরাম নাগরায় শাল জুড়িয়া। বলরাম নাগরায় শাল জুড়িয়া। খই ফোটে এত ধানে দই আনো সই, অধিবাস হবে আজ খেয়ে দই খই। চিড়ে হলো খই হলো এইবারে মুড়ি, চিড়ে হলো খই হলো এইবারে মুড়ি, বহুরূপী বেনা ফুল আছে ভূত মুড়ি, বহুরূপী বেনা ফুল আছে ভূত মুড়ি। বালাম নইচি আছে আছে নাতা শাল, বালাম নইচি আছে আছে নাতা শাল, মুগিয়ার মানসিরা আরো দুই চাল, মুগিয়ার মানসিরা আরো দুই চাল। মুগিয়ার মানসির আরো দুই চাল, খোলায় গরম বালি চাল হবে ভাজা, নুনে জলে ভেজা চালে মুড়ি হবে তাজা, নুনে জলে ভেজা চালে মুড়ি হবে তাজা। তোমার দয়াতে দেখো গোলা ভরা ধানে চিড়ে মুড়ি দিয়ে শনি রাখি তার শনে। চিড়ে মুড়ি দিয়ে তোমায় রাখি তার শনে। চিড়ে মুড়ি দিয়ে তোমায় রাখি তার শনে। চিড়ে মুড়ি খই হলো ভোগের আচার, খিচুড়ি ভোগেতে মা ঘোচে অনাহার। খিচুড়ি ভোগেতে মা ঘোচে অনাহার। দুর্গা গেন্টু আছে আছে ক্ষীরাশাল, দুর্গা গেন্টু আছে আছে ক্ষীরাশাল। মালাবতী হলদি গুড়ি খিচুড়ি চাল, মালাবতী হলদি গুড়ি খিচুড়ি চাল। ফোড়নে লঙ্কা মাগো আর গোটা জিরা, চালে ডালে রন্ধনে ভোগ হলো সারা। চালে ডালে রন্ধনে ভোগ হলো সারা। এইবারে সাজাই ভোগ পিঠে পাবনে, এইবারে সাজাই ভোগ পিঠে পাবনে। কোন ধানে পুজি তোমা লক্ষ্মী চরণে, কোন ধানে পুজি তোমা লক্ষ্মী চরণে। বকুল ফুল দাঁড়শাল ঢেকির পাটা, বকুল ফুল দাঁড়শাল ঢেকির পাটা। নারিকেল পুর দিয়া করি পুলি পিঠা, নারকেল পুর দিয়া করি পুলি পিঠা। নারকেল পুর দিয়া করি পুলি পিঠা। আধ পোয়া আছের চালে পুলি 8 পোয়া দুধে। আছের চালে পুলি 8 পোয়া দুধে। রাখি গো তোমার সনে মালসায় রেধে। রাখি গো তোমার সনে মালসায় রেধে। মাটির কলসে দেখো মিষ্টান্নের চাল। মাটির কলসে দেখো মিষ্টান্নের চাল। গন্ধ মালতী অলি ফোটা দুধে চাল। গন্ধ মালতী অলি ফোটা দুধে চাল। রাধা তিলক আছে তুলসী মুকুল। তুলসী মঞ্জুরি আছে সুবাসে ব্যাকুল। আর আছে কালো ধেনু গোয়ালে বাঁধা। সেই দুধে ক্ষীর করে পায়েস রাধা। সেই দুধে ক্ষীর করে পায়েস রাধা। এই ধানে শেষ পাতে পান্তা শীতল, এই ধানে শেষ পাতে পান্তা শীতল, মেঘনা নবান্ন শাল ভাতে দিয়ে জল, মেঘনা নবান্ন শাল ভাতে দিয়ে জল, শান্ত করি তোমায় শান্ত হোক ধরা, শান্ত করি তোমায় শান্ত হোক ধরা, এসো মা লক্ষ্মী তুমি পুজি বসুন্ধরা, এসো মা লক্ষ্মী তুমি পুজি বসুন্ধরা। কোমল চরণে এসো এসো মা ঘরে, কোমল চরণে এসো এসো মা ঘরে, গোলায় বসত করো নানা রূপ ধরে, গোলায় বসত করো নানা রূপ ধরে, অনাহার দূর হোক লক্ষ্মীর ধানে, ধানের পাঁচালি তাই তোমার চরণে, ধানের পাঁচালি তাই তোমার চরণে, ধানের পাঁচালি তাই তোমার চরণে। ধানের পাঁচালি তাই তোমার চরণে।
Break?
Yeah.
You continue?
No, you did something.
Thank you, Malika.
Thank you, Malika. So Malika is going to keep performing here. We're going to go back
for the second artist panel, and there I'm also going to say something about Malika's performance. Maybe you join us later for some questions as well.
Okay, you tell about my performance.
I will talk over there with the microphone.
Okay, okay.
to start with the second panel with artists today. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to the two artists for joining me as part of the opening of Assembling Grounds, which took place yesterday. My name is Mira Ihls, and I'm going to moderate the second panel and welcoming here Nilanjan Bhattacharya and Parak Tandel with me. We wanted to have a third person, who is Hema Shironi, who sadly got sick and can't join us on the panel today. So we have a little more time with the two of us here, three of us. And I would also like to speak a little bit about Malika Das-Sotar's performance, which just took place in the exhibition space, who might join us a little bit later as well if you have any question to her. But she asked me to talk a bit about the performance and read a text that she has prepared. So I might start with that, and then I talk a little bit more about the panel that we are on right now. Hello, Malika says. I'm going to read it as if she would be sitting here right now and talking to you. I am Malika Das-Sotar, which is the artist. I come from the state of West Bengal, which is located in the eastern part of India. Paddy, which is a type of rice seed, is intricately associated with our very being. And if you've just been to the performance or have seen it online, then you might have seen that she has given around some paddy seeds before she starts the performance together with some cards. So paddy, she says, is intricately associated with our very being. Far from being just a mere crop, it is a staple, our primary mode of subsistence. There was a time when Bengal was home to approximately 8,000 indigenous variants of paddy, the bulk of which have become extinct, owing to the development of modern high-production paddy seeds and yielding methods. Presently, around 400 variants survive, owing to the efforts of a splinter group of farmers. Through this performance, Malika says, I want to pay homage to the lost and extinct variants of paddy and to those who cultivated them. I was singing the names of the different sorts of paddy as a mode of remembrance. The form of my singing is called Panchali, I hope I say this correctly, a traditional genre of oral recitation and singing from Bengal associated with the worshipping of the goddess Lakshmi, who symbolizes prosperity and wealth. I have seen my mother, Malika says, following the storing of the fresh harvest in the house, welcoming the goddess of prosperity through drawing motifs of the different tools and instruments used for harvesting. I will be trying to remember and show reverence to that tradition through this performance. The form of the drawing is traditionally known as alpana or alpona, where patterns and designs are drawn on the floor celebrating the goddess. Over time, we have lost our own form of indigenous and embodied knowledge, as well as our traditions. This performance is a small attempt from my end, Malika says, to honor the legacy and the community of people associated with the practice. So these were the words from Malika, who wanted to say this about her performance. She is continuing at the moment in the exhibition space to finalize this drawing, which is then also going to stay as part of the exhibition of Assembling Grounds for this whole year. And with that, again, a warm welcome to the two artists who are sitting here with me as well. These artists, I would try to summarize, are similarly like the artists in the first panel that we heard to and talked to today, bringing different local ecosystems and ecologies into their practice, different non-human and human entities. And I would say that their practice is just like Malika's practice, very much connected to certain kind of communities, whatever we might mean with this word, locally in the neighborhood, locally in a specific region, locally in a specific situation, but that these artists are also exploring how this connects to global issues or to issues of other localities around. And binaries, I would say, maybe opposing concepts such as rural, traditional, and on the other hand, urban, industrial might come up But I would also say that these distinctions, these quite strong binaries, are more complicated in the practice that you all have, that they are shown in that there are many threads leading to this historical threads, future threads that might lead out of this. So yeah, I hope that we can hear a little bit more about this. And I would like to hand over first to Nilanjan, if you can talk a bit about your work.
This is the one.
And you will have to use the microphone.
No, I'm saying this is the one. Thank you, Mira, and thank you for all of you here. And you know, I must say that I'm actually an artist, I'm an artist in guise of a filmmaker actually. So I'm truly a filmmaker. So then whatever I do, you can call it an art. Like, I mean, it comes from my filmmaking understanding and the way of thinking. While I say that, but at the same time, I don't have any training in filmmaking or in any form of art. So, you know, I'm a free person in that sense. So I don't have any border, I don't have any framework, so I can do anything. As a person also, I'm a bit difficult, so I can do anything. So, you know, this combination of this like kind of give me leverage to talk about many things. And thanks to Mira, and then when she told me about that, yes, finally this exhibition is going to be kind of be realized. And then I thought, I imagined I've never been to ZKM, and then we spoke about it, and also somehow I was part of Critical Zone in Calcutta, so I had some idea, and also read about things, philosophies and all this. So I thought maybe I do something that which raises questions. And since it's a bigger ground, bigger terrain, so, and then so many people are coming and so many kinds of work are it take place here. So maybe I can hear different voices, and which may not really agree with my ways of seeing, but it can at least raise debates. So that's how my work, this particular work, and I will primarily talk about this work, comes from. And this is quickly, most of you might have seen it, but it's basically a 5-channel video work, primarily at the center of it, which the base of, and the title is Forest as Supermarket, Forest as Hypermarket, Hypermarket as Forest. So there is a certain kind of dialectical relationship between the forest and a certain imaginary co-relationship. And also there are certain, in a box, there are very many text cards that which talks about the current state of the world, in focusing on mostly food and consumption practices. There is also one text which talks about again consumption practices. So that's the body of, that's the installation, overall installation. And what I try to do, like even if you saw it, like just I quickly underline that it's not exactly the structure, but like you can get an idea if you look at it that how the visuals kind of connect to each other and all this. And most of the part there is no sound. There is a sudden sound sometimes. So. So I don't think that I need to explain, and I don't want to explain also, that the visuals are self-explanatory to you, whatever way each of you will take them or read them. But I just let me place myself or us in a way that, like the right side of the screen, you see that, of course, you know this visual. This is from Kaufland. And I live in Leipzig now. And then this is shot by me, and I go there every day. I don't like to go there, but my wife also goes. But otherwise, I go there. And the other visuals you see from different parts of India. And I work on, mainly work on indigenous practices on food and biodiversity and their knowledge system. So I brought them together, and I'll talk about it later also. And that you see, so they face each other, they create an interaction with each other, and I see myself there, very much present physically in a certain way, because I leave this space. I use this space very much. And at the same time, I also go there, document, and I see so I had these two experiences of my everyday experiences. They may not be everyday experiences, but kind of for many years I'm going there and I'm documenting and all this. So they, in a way, contradictory in one way, but again, they also have many similarities. They are world apart, but at the same time, they have a certain kind of interaction in some way, in a very abstract way. From there, I would like to actually draw from what Maksud was talking about the last panel, that while we talk about the idea of coexistence, which is also the theme of the panel, that how much we really practice it. When we talk about, we write it, like, look at me, I can't practice it. I go to Kaufland, of course, and I'm not proposing that I should practice it like going there and plucking that. It's impossible for me. I'm a totally urban guy, and I don't want to. I can't imagine myself doing that. But I think now, over the years working there, and then also the failure of civilization, that we must agree that, like the climate change and so-called we talk about, that where we arrived, that world might end very soon, or at least part of it. Like, for example, in my country, there's Sundarbans, which is the famous mangrove zone. Their prediction that in 25 years it will completely be drowned. Sea level is up, going up and all this. So then we constantly live in fear, but at the same time we are not changing our habits and practices. So my work, this particular work, is not really prescribing anything. It's also in a way not very comprehensive. It creates a certain kind of disorientation, and because I'm disoriented. I don't know. Means, you can't believe like that while I was creating those cards, so suddenly I thought, why can't I create a card that who is bombing whom? Create a list of like who is attacking, like that, how many countries are in fight. In my own country, people are getting kind of killed, like because they eat certain meat that which is not apparently allowed. So there is so much of discrimination and divide everywhere. Like you can't really say that, oh, my country is out of it. So I believe that we live in that certain kind of, I don't know the other word in English, a certain kind of dichotomy, certain kind of hypocrisy at the moment. And I would like to kind of point out toward that's where I am also included. And I just like to play this clip, and then I don't know to talk anything more. Is it playing or? No, I should. So here, if you have noticed, like on the right screen, that you can see myself, half of me, kind of in contradiction. No, I don't know. I belong to that world or this world. I'm constantly divided in that. And here it's not possible, but like if you stand in front of the installation, that you can see that if you stand in a certain point in the center, suddenly you are included. So it goes to a camera mode, and then suddenly you can use yourself. So while I'm in that trap, I'm inviting into that trap. So that's my work.
Thank you, Nilanjan, for sharing this and also sharing a bit about these tensions that are really present in the work or in the world and how you engage with them. Before going into discussion about this, I'd like to hand over to Parak for a different yet related focus, I would say. You can click next.
Thank you, Mira, always. Actually, I am going to present our pop-up museum, which we run in Mumbai. I am not supposed to do this, but I am doing this on behalf of my partner Kadambari. She usually presents this museum thing always. So I'm going to read something which is a bit long, but it's an honor to be part of ZKM family. Past 32 days were a roller coaster ride in ZKM. Tons of learning, reflections. Thank you, Stéphane, Oliver, who was not Eva, for collaboration. It is great pleasure and honor to work with you all. Thank you, Mira, Daria, Philip, and Alistair for the opportunity to share. Tandel Fund of Archives is a socially engaged protest archives and ethnographic pop-up museum of Koli, the first people of Mumbai, the fishing tribe who are original inhabitants of Mumbai. So it's called Koli community. It is exploring idea of indirect ways of protest against the idea of megalopolis Mumbai. How art can be used as a tool to mold the minds. Tandel Fund is in Chendeni Kolivada, Thane. It's a central suburb of Mumbai. Was founded by Tandel families at the beginning of 14th century to support Koli people economically during their time of necessity. We have resumed this fund in context of Pool of Archives. The Pool of Archive is currently documenting information about the Koli tribe in and around Mumbai, who are guardians of ancient breeding grounds, fish breeding grounds. It seeks to forge connection with the public sphere through pop-up exhibits of archival material of each Kolivada, which is fishing village. Sonkolis have rich tradition of culture, their age-old wisdom of ocean as forest within a forest, which needs to be documented. Sonkolis are highly marginalized by central and local government. We found there is no museum space for these first people of Mumbai. TFA is closely collaborating with more than 200 villages to archive knowledge of coexistence. We aim to serve as an archival tool through which information and narratives of the community can be disseminated through various art forms and act as a living museum of memory. TFA was co-founded by visual auto ethnographers Parak Tandel, and it's me, and Kadambari Koli. So this was the first project we started. There is kind of shift of occupation. you will find in there are more than 200 villages, and you will find 10 to 15 women making rice bread, which is very famous. And they actually have shifted from fishing to rice making, rice roti making, like bread is roti. So, but this bread making thing was seen as a very low job, and they were demoralized. And we worked with Art Oxygen for this project. Means they bought some project daily ration, and then we arranged a largest roti competition for them from my village. It's Chendani Kolivada village. And we did mummification project, first mummification project to document mummification as in metaphor to protect or save knowledge. It was a bit metaphorical. It was not mummification also. It was in between somewhere. There were dry fish recipes. Some people won prizes. And I felt that here way the social sculpture works to elevate the minds, which was very important, because way they were demoralized. Now they are very confident. So next, we also made manuscripts. They wrote recipe in a book, which is there in exhibition now, which became larger book now. But we collected some materials, bones, some clay from the river creek, which is estuary. These are the shells. Then there was like people ate food, and it was kind of gathering, sharing knowledge and stories. And then this book happened. It's big, long story, but I did very short. Actually, we have less time. So we are our ek bagal mein chand means it's chand is the moon, which was our early god. It controls the tide, and we believe moon as a god. So this is from the Tandel archives. This is the way they dress, the woman. So why pop-up museum? There was no museum, and it was self-funded. It is self-funded for longer time. We are not actually taking funds from anybody. So we have to be open-minded. Longer self-sustainability is more important. Of how to manage everything, in-house things. We are great risk takers. That is the thing. We try to make it short, sweet, and think what resources are available. How can we develop? Because sustaining museum is very difficult for a longer time, and I know I means being sculptor, I am trained as a sculptor, and it is difficult, but it is possible always, and we have to find ways to survive. That's what nature teaches us. The first pop-up museum was of a local photographer who documented lots of things, but he was also a marriage photographer. So this is one space. Kadambari's, my partner's father had collaborated with municipal corporation, local municipal corporation. It's very long space, and we showed some of his images. I'm sorry. So this is second pop-up museum. This was about World Bank. we started documenting word bank. But this was not just a word bank we collected. It is socially engaged. From second pop-up museum, we thought that let's start to rethink museum. How museum can be socially engaged. How people can make a museum. How they can share museum. So we invited, there are folk singers. My uncle is folk singer, he passed away, but he guided us and he shared some songs and then also some words. So this was in Vitawa village, which is nearby my village. It was like lots of programs were there. We did some film screenings of many people, like Anand Patwardhan's film was there, Fishing in the Sea of Greed and all, like then A Can of Fish by Aditi Chitre, and Charles Correa's film City on Water, which was like big thing by funded by government, which is about Navi Mumbai, that is New Bombay, which later came after Mumbai. So also these are the names of the various artisanal fishing net, which were later after the museum started, many people started adding the objects, like the few of the fishermen
नरली पुनवेचा आज दिवस आहे नरली पुनवेचा चला रे चला दसनंदाचा समिंदराचा.
So this was my uncle who was singing song, and there were like songs and films, and then there was food, which is my favorite topic. We collected words. We asked them to write recipes in our language, and we collected words from that. So it was kind of various ways we were exploring. This was one workshop of aquaponics, which Kadambari took, and we invite for every project one artist. So this is one artist called Chandrakant Ganacharya. He distributed pamphlets. It was written like "Stop buying" on it, and people should stop buying excess. So that was the idea. These are the fishing nets, different. So what images you are seeing, we didn't document it. We never keep photographer. We collect them from the people who come. We ask them, and then we keep it in the archives. So we don't specially keep photographer to document a project. So this is like fully engaged, socially engaged project. Then there were different kind of baskets of the fish, which are for the fish, which are used like crabs, and for the crab to then shrimps, which is common in Koli community. So I feel that food is an archaeological site which also has stories, memories, and they have layers and layers of information of coexistence and how we as a community have changed. Means way the masalas have changed, way the oil has come, because earlier oil was not there. The seed oil came in first half of 18th century, I think. We were not using oil before that, but it has constantly changed. It also shows the way colonization happened, and the vegetables, different vegetables came in our food. So, so this was done for there is one big space in Goa. This was done with a collaboration with my mom and during the lockdown, what we were eating. So it is a tradition in our community. During monsoon, we don't fish because it's a sin, because it's a breeding season of fish. So we don't fish in monsoon, and our sea is very stormy. That is also one reason. And we store our dry fish stock, and we mostly cook dry fish. So we were cooking in lockdown some dry fish, but mom cooked lots of different things because she stays in different place, but she came, I brought her to my place because of the COVID, and it was fun, but it was sad also. We collect knowledge, we develop online symposiums, we bring people who want to talk. It's like people really want to talk, like it's online is difficult, like you can't hold people. We are publishing books, lots of folk singers, like it's 6th edition we did recently. And now the word bank, like we have collected 1090 words, which is going to be published in this September. And Kadambari and I declared 1st September as a Koli Language Day, and all the 7 islands villages accepted, and they are celebrating very, like, we are so happy that way they love their culture. That is the thing. And so then we were also invited for other projects, like this was curated by Premjish, and this was about blouse tags. Earlier women were not wearing blouse, they were wearing just covering just waist, and the blouse came after Portuguese arrived, and they were influenced by Portuguese women, and then but Portuguese charged tax to wear blouse, and if you don't give tax, then you have to work as a slave at the Portuguese home, and then they were like it was sin to work somewhere else, and then they were also converted into Christian because they worked in the Christian house. So this kind of practices we are documenting. So if you see here, like there is holy crab. So holy crab is not eaten by. I'm using material culture in my both of us, Kadambari and I. So this is in White Cube space. It is not generally welcomed, but this work is actually in box for a long time. But I really enjoy this work because I used crab shells, which are direct, but they contextually, if you see, they so really well go with the East Indians who are Kolis, who were early Kolis, but now they are called East Indians because they have become Christian. This is happened because of Amruta and Ravi. Goethe Institute invited us for do a museum, in pop-up museum. This was about words, but also the various things. There are scientist friends who are from fishing community, who are working in fishing institutes, and they shared some interesting informations. And these new stands we developed because of Goethe Institute's funds. Interesting part about showing in Goethe Institute was that everybody started accepting us as a now it is in a Goethe Institute, so it is like now we'll come. It's like acceptance. But thanks Amruta, and Ravi especially, who. So these are the folk singers. They came to the Goethe Institute to sing songs. These are different varieties of fish baskets. Then it was fun. Like this is from one of the protest images from protest, and this is artist from Koli community. He is self-taught and he always decorate our protest sites. So I took one image of this. Time finish, yeah, done. He's Bhagwan Dandekar, and we are publishing his book. He has written his village history, and interesting part is all the villages are writing their own history, which is counter history, and they are not scholars, but it's so important to. Thank you. Oh, it's not mine.
Perfect timing. Thank you so much, Parak, for this insight into really, I feel like you're granting us so much insight into the community you're living with, coming from, working for. It's really wonderful to see that. And at this point, I'd like to open to the audience, also online audience, if there are any questions that you would like to ask these two artists. I don't know if Malika is also around. Malika's there, great. So if you have questions to Malika, who did the performance, who I read the text about in the beginning, then also please feel free.
Oh. Thanks for that. You made me feel really hungry watching that. But I'm just interested with it in a way, a simple question, but I'm interested in it, is in making this pop-up museum, what have you come to consider a museum to be? Or what do the users of your museum construct think it to be from their perspective? Because we have a certain idea of what a museum is, but has that changed in your head?
Somewhere I want to break way the museum is seen, like. Because everybody can't come in the museum, and then we have to go to the people. And I feel that it is really important that what people want to see in the museum. It's their museum, and they shared what they want to see, I think. Because fishing nets, we never imagined they will bring fishing net, because we were focusing on the words, and we never thought food can add words. It became because of some kind of discussion which happened on the ground where the museum was placed. It was most of the museums are placed. Villages are sea facing, and these conversations happened about museum or sea face, like it's in the front of the water, and the way it flows is very important because it's kind of counter museum we are developing. I think it's and I think how museum as a tool can become a public sculpture, social sculpture, is more important for me. How it can transform minds, how it can elevate minds, how they can develop. I can't say love, because in our language there is no word as a love. So I can't say love is, but coming together, because those villages are designed in a way people come together, means they celebrate. It it's a music there, everything, like they want to dance. But if you get out of the village, and the city is like, the roads are built to get the isolation, to keep people in isolation. So that idea of bringing people together, because what I really feel, Alistair, is that sitting in the studio and drawing lots of people on the painting or sculpture is very easy, but bringing minds together is big task. Like, so that happens. I don't know if I'm coming close to your question, but that tool is really important to bring minds together in the space. But this space is also a pop-up space. And then what impact it creates and what are the reflection. Because I know people love us. Now I'm bringing love because really people enjoy that this is nice, like that kind of thing. They are proud. They want that culture. They don't want to lose their language. They want to share, means they don't. It's about identity also, which is what identity you want to adapt in this. I don't want to really bring the climate change because it has become fragile term now. Like we have lost.
Thank you, Parak. Any more?
Can I just ask one thing about this? It seems like it is the strange use of the museum, which, well...
Daniel, sorry, I'm going to give the microphone to you, otherwise the online audience can't hear you.
No, basically the question is, there's a strange relationship between the representation of a culture and the reviving of the culture. So you're using the museum, which is usually used to represent a culture, as a tool to infuse a culture with a new life, or would that be going too far?
I'm not getting...
So there seems to... Does anybody understand me? I don't know.
Can you simplify it like
so,
a bit?
So you use the idea of the museum not to document something which is, or in a way to document something which is also of the past, but in a way to give it a new life. This seems to be your idea of using the museum as a social sculpture.
Actually, it is living museum.
Yeah.
Of living people.
Yeah.
Of course, but it is protest museum also. We shouldn't forget that. I think I and Alistair was talking about this thing. The idea came because all the villages in the cubic city were declared slums, and we really fought that these are not slums, these are ancient villages. So that idea of seeing migrants who are on the seats, they see us. They manipulated our data that these people are not from here. These people came 300 years ago. So I am Kadambari are developing an idea, collecting the evidences that we are here from here. So one day what happened means my cousins fought. They fought a lot, like in a different way. They were troubled by it happens everywhere. It was direct, and we were indirect. But indirectness came from. I told Alistair now that I was reading Harry Potter long back. And in Harry Potter, there is one scene where Dumbledore and Tom and Voldemort is fighting. And Voldemort wants to kill everybody. He says that I will kill everybody. But Dumbledore says that you don't have to kill. There are ways to kill. And that idea I told Kadambari, because one day at night we were sleeping and we are connected to all the WhatsApp groups. And she constantly sees WhatsApp groups at night. I always tell her, don't see. So at night everybody is sending protest informations and all. And she said to me that I just want to kill somebody. So, but I said to her, we don't have to kill. We'll kill in a different way. And that was the idea of the pop-up museum. We are doing, but we are doing in a different way. Publishing 6 books is big thing for us. Publishing dictionary is big thing for me, like me and Kadambari, because it's giant job we did in last 4 years. Because we don't have script, but we are using Devanagari script now. But when I came to ZKM, I did one work, and it is about sound waves. I drew that curtain in a sound wave, and there are a lot of reflection which how museum can be. We are exploring, because it is not me or Kadambari who is doing that museum. People are changing shape of the museum. Koli people. It's not me. It's everybody who is working with us. They are reshaping, restructuring the museum as an idea.
Yeah.
I want you to make a book on the Dumbledore theory.
Hold on. Yes.
You said that the migrants are manipulating data and then claiming that coolies are just only 300 years here.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious,
yes,
if I understood right, and then who are these migrants who are manipulating data, and who are migrants?
For us, whole Mumbai people who are not coolies, they are migrants.
So there is a politics of migrant, non-migrant.
No, like coolie
Coolies
people
also are party to it.
Coolie people, you go to Mumbai, and any taxi driver will not cheat you. But you get to go to Delhi, and all the taxi people will cheat you. Why this is in Mumbai?
Why?
Somewhere I feel that something is there we don't want anything. We just don't want anything.
Simply because they are migrants.
I'm saying that why this kind of thinking is there in Mumbai's taxi people.
I find from my experience as an Indian traveling in Bombay, it also happens in Calcutta, which is supposed to be the very nice city, that a taxi driver cheats you, but often of the same way the middle class, upper middle class will say Bihari migrants. But they forget that Calcutta or the country won't run without the Bihari migrants, because they are the physical laborers. So I find, of course, it's a larger politics, which is Germany is not also part out of it. So this issue of migrant is you need another discussion and all this, but generalization may be a complicated thing in a way.
Can I maybe add on that what you just said, because I was curious also to know a bit about your work, because I know that you've just showed us a video installation, but you've also done you said you began with saying that you're a filmmaker and you're kind of in disguise or something around that, but you're also doing cultural projects. So there's also this where I'm asking myself, because we heard a lot about the pop-up museum now. How are you working with these different formats? Now when you talk about migration, or you did a whole project around this together with the Goethe Institute as well. So how do you feel like these different topics you can address through different formats? How do you come to choose what can a different format for you bring to the table?
It's not always a very pre-planned, or I would say it's more spontaneous. At the same time, may not be spontaneous because there is a certain strategy, and I would like to see myself that I'm not really I have a politics, that which is not really kind of classic. You may not be able to tell me and put in the bracket than an activist, but I have a politics, and more that considering that the way the surrounding is now, so I think I'm becoming more political. So then these kind of activities are more driven by that kind of politics, that I want to say certain things, and then I think that how can I say these things. And also it depends on a certain practicalities, because I'm now shifted to Germany, so of course making a documentary and just going there, spending long time, and my films take long time. And of course it involves money, so I'm not doing this. So I'm more into installation, that which I can manipulate my, or I can play with my footages, existing footages, create my footages with phone, or use text and all this. So it's also a journey, because I sometimes call myself the scavenger of knowledge. So I actually picked up knowledge here and there through my living experiences. So these are exciting journeys for me. At this moment, I'm very interested in the relationship between text and images. So I'm using text. So that way it's being decided, and then I would like to bring people together, because they, as I said in the beginning, because they have different views, and often they are not in line with me, different views, and I can debate with them. We can really contradict each other, talk about each other, and also in the process I learn a little bit, which I can use later on, and then I meet another person. So it's not that irrespective of young, old, veteran experience. So if someone is doing I find interesting work, I bring them together. That's how these projects, so you call it cultural projects, sometimes it's curatorial role. Again, I don't have any training, but I have been organizing stuff in my localities to Goethe Institute for many years. So I know how to design events, I know how to schedule, I know how to deal with artists or filmmakers and all this. So that's how these things are. It's no structure, I would say.
I've just been shown the sign that we are on time. So I might take this word of learning from each other again as a thank you for closing this panel, for closing these events that are happening today here in the morning at ZKM. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to the artists for being here. And to the ones who are on site in Karlsruhe, if you want to, we're going to continue our program on the local orchard from around 3 or 3:30 p.m. onwards. So there's more if you so want to, but this time outside with a little bit of a different focus, participating workshops and so on. Thank you all.